There's a truth hiding in plain sight in the old fields of the world. From the terrace slopes of the Andes to the Nile floodplain, from the rice paddies of East Asia to the forest gardens of West Africa, ancient farmers maintained fertile soil for centuries without synthetic fertilizers, tractors, soil labs, or industrial amendments. Their soils stayed productive, season after season, famine after famine, political collapse after political collapse. Meanwhile, modern farms often drain their land in just a few generations, sometimes in a single decade. If you've ever wondered how ancient farmers kept their soil alive, or how they managed not only to grow enough for themselves, but to feed entire civilizations, you're about to step into one of the most practical lessons history has ever gifted us. And for anyone serious about survival, homesteading, long-term resilience, or understanding how civilizations sustained themselves, these principles matter now more than ever. Ancient farmers didn't have better land, they had better systems. And those systems can be applied today just as effectively as they were applied thousands of years ago. Ancient farmers kept soil fertile because they never left the ground exposed. Across the ancient world, bare soil was treated as a threat. Whether in Southeast Asia, medieval Europe, or the Sahel, farmers consistently kept their ground covered with mulch, crop residues, low-growing plants, or flooded water systems. They knew that uncovered soil dried out faster, blew away in the wind, and lost nutrients in the rain. Modern soil science simply confirms what they already practiced intuitively. Soil life survives best when shielded. If you're growing today, you can apply this immediately by ensuring no bed, field, or container remains naked. After harvesting, chop the plant material and leave it on the surface. If you have access to dried grass, shredded leaves, sugarcane bagasse or rice husks, spread them over the soil in a thick layer. Even in dry regions, mulch protects moisture and prevents the microbial die-off that leads to long-term infertility. A grower applying this principle will see an increase in soil moisture retention, fewer weeds, and a visible improvement in soil texture within a single season. They built fertility by constantly returning organic material to the land. One of the most striking patterns across ancient farming cultures is their obsession with recycling nutrients. Nothing organic was wasted. The Chinese agricultural manuals from over 1,000 years ago describe systems where farmers mixed crop residues, livestock manure, pond mud, and even fermented slurry to build long-lasting soil humus. Egyptian farmers relied on silt-rich floods but still returned straw and manure to the fields after each harvest to maintain microbial life. The Maya used layers of charcoal, compost and decaying plant matter to create terra preta soils that remain productive centuries later. Applying this today is surprisingly simple. Start by transitioning from a waste mindset to a cycle mindset. Instead of removing dead plant matter, return it. Instead of leaving manure to sit in piles, compost it and spread it. Instead of burning residues, chop them into small pieces and let them rot directly into the earth. A very effective method is trench composting. Dig a shallow trench in a fallow bed, bury kitchen scraps, cover them with soil, and let the earthworms do the work. Over time, the soil becomes darker, softer, and richer, exactly as ancient systems achieved through continuous recycling. Ancient societies avoided soil collapse because they integrated animals into their farming systems. One of the biggest differences between ancient and modern farming is that livestock and crops weren't separated. Goats grazed on fallow fields, returning manure directly into the ground. Cattle were driven across harvested grain fields, leaving behind a nutrient layer for the next planting. Ducks patrolled rice paddies, eating pests and fertilizing as they swam. This integration meant the soil was constantly replenished by natural cycles. Even if you don't keep livestock, you can replicate these dynamics. A small-scale grower can use chicken tractors, moving hens across beds to clear weeds and fertilize the soil. A gardener can apply diluted fermented plant juice or manure tea to add nutrients in the same slow-release fashion animals naturally provide. If you do keep livestock, rotating them across different sections of your land allows them to feed the soil as they feed themselves. This practice alone re-establishes the ancient loop that kept soils endlessly productive. They mastered water retention by shaping their landscapes to slow, spread and sink water. Where modern growers often rely on constant irrigation, ancient farmers built landscapes that manage water passively. Terraces in South America stopped erosion and captured rainfall. In East Africa, farmers built stone bunds that slowed runoff and allowed moisture to penetrate deeply. The Nabateans in the desert carved channels that guided stormwater into planting basins, turning dry land into productive fields. This skill is one of the main reasons they avoided soil exhaustion. Water stayed where the soil needed it. You can apply this even on small plots by observing how water flows across your land after rain. Make simple contour ditches or shallow basins around fruit trees. Add organic matter so the soil acts like a sponge instead of a crust. In extremely dry regions, use sunken beds rather than raised ones to collect precious moisture. These techniques recreate the ancient ability to turn difficult environments into reliable, fertile, growing spaces. Ancient farmers succeeded because they treated soil as a living partner, not an expendable resource. The greatest difference between ancient and modern agriculture is philosophical. Ancient farmers viewed soil as something alive. They understood its rhythms, respected its limits, and expected to hand it down to future generations in better condition than they inherited it. Their farming practices were built around regeneration rather than extraction. Applying this mindset today means reducing over-tillage, avoiding harsh chemical inputs, and working with the natural cycles of growth and decay. A simple practice is leaving root systems in the ground after harvest instead of pulling plants out entirely. Roots decompose into channels that feed microorganisms and improve soil structure. Over time, this small habit recreates the slow-building soil architecture that ancient farmers relied on. If you want more historically grounded, practical guides like this one, designed for growers, survivalists, and serious history enthusiasts, make sure you subscribe to Farm Logic and share this video with anyone who wants to rebuild their soil the way ancient farmers did. This knowledge kept civilizations thriving for centuries, and it can keep your land thriving too.